Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Yo Pops, the podcast with me, Shean Williams, and my father.
Good morning.
You can say it to them if you want.
Of course. Good morning.
We hope you've all had a wonderful week and you enjoyed our last episode where actually you were very, very candid about your childhood and growing up. Childhood.
Okay.
I know you've probably always been an adult in your own mind, but...
Yes. Yeah, no, you...
Ask great questions, I know.
You did.
I'm joking. So we had a wonderful time last week, obviously exploring that. And it led me into, actually, I have a fundamental question that I want to ask this week. But before that, let me just actually do some life admin. How are you? How's your week been?
I am good. And happy to be with everyone again. And especially you, of course.
Well, yeah, that's the highlight of your week. Come on. Is there anything especially that happened this week that you're excited about, or that you like, or you didn't like, or?
No, I think just working through things was really good. I think it alleviates a lot of pressure in the sense that we really sort of got ahead of ourselves in many respects. And I see my numbers climbing again, even like with the social media.
Okay.
It was good yesterday. Very good.
Okay. You know, I was talking about life normally, not like work.
Yeah, that's part of my life.
What? No, Dad. No. No, because this is good. Because I think what it does is it leads into a certain conversation about balance. So sometimes when I ask you how you are, I think a lot of the time when people ask people how they are, we have what I call go-to answers.
Right.
That are very ambiguous and don't actually allude to what's happening. Because, for example, on a personal level, I could sit and go, well, the last 15 hours of my interactions with you would suggest that what you've said isn't necessarily the truth.
Is it?
Well, of course.
From whose perspective years am I?
Well, it would be from the perspective of the person that's executing the plan.
Well.
Just yes or no?
I understand it from both sides of the fence.
No, I understand what you're saying, but in terms of the question you just asked, if I buy something from a manufacturer, I'm not going to read the instructions according to my perspective. I'm saying I'm going to read the instructions according to the manufacturer's perspective because he created the product and the model, put it together, designed it, purposed it, so would maybe have the best idea as to the construction of that as a question.
Well, I think what you'll find is that although the manufacturer may have a certain intention in terms of what he wrote, the person who's reading it, may come up with their own perspective as to what he's trying to say.
But on the same basis, perspective is taken from you moving to a position to gain an understanding through the original formula. So whatever your perspective is going to be on that product, it's like, I could use a hammer as a screwdriver,
right?
But it's not going to be as effective as using a screwdriver because even though my perspective says, oh, I can use this for something else, the reality is there is a tool made that best screws in screws.
Yes.
Now, whilst the hammer also has a part of it in its tool where it can yank a screw more, right? Because you've got the two hook bit at the end, you get that in, you can pull that down because you can use brute strength. Which then would say, right, that's a person using the best of what they have because they may not have access to a... Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So then when I was asking you about how your week was and you went straight into work,
right,
as your son, I'd feel quite distressed and disturbed. If the whole... Because then if you're telling me that the whole basis of your week in terms of a focus is about work, then as you would say to us when we were younger and you wanted us to revise, all play and no work makes Jack a stupid boy.
Yes.
And all work and no play makes him a dull boy. So you kind of need the balance, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, you do have it. But in this week in particular, see, I think I was more thinking in terms of this week rather than over a protracted period of time. So this week has been a very work-centered week.
Okay. But then where have you found your pockets of time for yourself? Have you made those? What did you say?
Sleeping.
Dad, sleeping's not. That's rest.
That's what I'm saying. It was work and rest. There wasn't much play.
Okay, that's a problem. I'm being serious. That's a problem.
We're talking about this week.
No, I understand, but I'm actually glad we're having this because this is a deep conversation. No, and I'm hoping that lots of my friends here can sit down and go, okay, we might need to have a conversation about this. When you watch Formula One, would you say that is fun or not fun? And if you're a driver, as drivers,
okay.
Well, you're an active driver. I'm an inactive driver,
right.
But we both drive, right?
Yeah.
And you've been in the car with me, and you know I like to push it a little bit if I'm in a car where I can push it. So, Formula One, would you say that's fun or not fun?
Not fun for me.
Okay, that's fun for me.
Right.
Right.
So there you go.
Why is it not fun for you?
Because it's too dangerous, and I think it's personally, being a driver, I know what are the where people push them at their limits.
Right.
So for me, that's not fun.
Perfect. Now you and I sit on the opposite end of the balance from the last question that I just asked you, where I was trying to say to you that on the basis of the manufacturer, this is what they use it for, this is what it is, right? So your opinion as a driver, and you're older than me, is that that's not fun. My perspective is that that's a very fun thing, right? Now, we're going to have two different opposite ends of why you don't think it's fun and why I think it's fun.
Correct.
For most of those drivers, they wouldn't do that unless they had a passion and they loved driving, Dad, right? So most of them start from go-karting when they're quite young. On that same basis, within the high intensity of that race, there is a stratagem that allows that car to go in and out and in and out. And they call it pit stops.
Right.
They call it a pit stop because the car needs in-race management that allows it to stay as efficient, as aerodynamic, and working on its top level. Before the race starts, they will have 2 or 3 qualifying rounds, right, Dad?
Right.
So they'll let them go out on the track when nobody's there, speed about, right, cool, let's do some tweaks, let's do some thingies. Then they'll have the first qualifying, okay, cool. The rear end isn't doing this, or the wheels aren't best fit, or actually we've got this weather going, right? So the question I would ask to you is that if men can conceive that for a machine that is built to crash and to go for speed, what is it that you, or how is it that you see your life that means that you don't think that you should have the same thing?
Same what?
The same management and balance.
Oh, I do.
You just said to me that this week has been work and sleep. That's not balanced, Dad.
Oh yes, I mean it's not all week and all months that I'm like that. Just this week.
No, I would suggest that maybe a month and a half before you went on your Philippines trip, you've been on a very intense work schedule. Then you went to the Philippines and was on an even more intense work schedule. And then you've come back and I've met you at the terminal with a more intense work schedule. So, and like I said, perspective and perception, right? So 4 weeks before the Philippines, how long were you in the Philippines for?
3 weeks.
7 weeks. And then how long have you been back for?
3.
Now you said to me that you've only had a week of, I've just been working and sleeping. You just counted 10 weeks. But then in that time, sorry, go on, say what you're saying.
Remember when I came back, I had to have at least a week and a half total rest.
But you didn't totally rest.
I did.
You didn't.
Right.
And because without divulging the privacy of our conversations, I was talking to you about things that are happening in real time. That whilst you may not have been moving, your mind was working triple the speed.
Yeah, I think there was rest as well included.
But Dad, you would say to me, and you have said this to me before, Sean, mental rest is far more important at times than physical rest, because if you're mentally drained, you will not. I remember actually you said this to me. You said, Sean, it's better your body can't move and your mind can go everywhere than you're able-bodied, but you're vacant.
Yes.
Does that make sense? And for me, I don't mean this the way it's going to sound, but I think that a lot of my friends, and especially this week, some of the conversations I've had with them, I don't tend to be the type of person standing over boxes and other types of carrying materials and talking about people when I could say some stuff when they're able to hear me and smell me and touch me. Right?
Who's been touching you?
No one's been touching me. But in terms of, I'd much rather say that to a living person than a not living person.
A living person?
Yeah, you know, like the person's dead.
Yeah.
Right. So lots of people are dying at the moment, right?
Of course.
So if I can see someone hurtling at like 150 miles per hour towards a wall, and I'm like, okay, I know the airbags are good. I know the car's quite sturdy. Maybe we don't have to, A, go that fast and B, head in that direction. But if you're kind of, what's the word? Cruise controlling and you're 10 and 2 and your eyes are closed, then it might seem like just a, and I say that on the basis of, I know how people are interacting and dealing with some of the good information you're giving.
That's good.
So it makes one wonder at what stage that you decide for yourself that you deserve that time.
Oh, no, I do. I really do. And I'm looking forward to having some more rest, what I call planned rest. And looking forward to that. And that's coming up.
That's good.
That's coming up.
What is it that you think you've learned about planned rest that you didn't understand before? Or are you still discovering it?
No, I've always known it.
Okay.
That it's important. And yeah.
Oh, this is brilliant. I can see your mind working in real time and you don't know what to say.
No,
yeah, I do. No. You're thinking right now. I can see it. This is brilliant. I'm going to pull this thread. Go on, keep going. No. This is good, Dad. Because that look there just gave me like 10 other questions. I'm like, no, this is brilliant. Oh, I got you.
No.
Yeah. Go on.
What I'm saying is that.
What are you saying, Dad?
Different situation, different time.
Right.
Create different rest space. And for some people, lying on a beach, relaxing in the sun is rest.
Okay.
For me, my rest is very different. I enjoy lying on the beach if need be, but I don't too much because I'm already, have enough of the melanin. So I don't do that too much. But perhaps sitting down and talking with you like this, is a form of rest for me. Just interacting, bantering, and creating. It does energizes me, and it really stimulates my mind, and generally all over, really.
Okay.
I like it.
Okay. I'm going to apologize for the question I'm going to ask.
Well, don't ask it then if you need to apologize.
No, I need to ask it.
What way are you going to apologize then?
Because I need you to know that the intention of me asking it isn't to create what's going to happen. Because I know for a minute you're going to sit there and you're going to be like, oh, this is... And you're going to look around and you're like,
I think you've been mischievous.
I can't maneuver.
I think you've been mischievous.
I'm not being mischievous.
You're going to ask a question that you are going to apologize for.
Yes.
And yet you're still going to ask it.
100%.
And then you could avoid the apologies.
No, because you could have avoided me asking the question by not saying something so that you just said. Because the minute you said I went there, my mind just went, bloop, bloop, and I went, really? I was just like, okay. I said, all right, let me let him finish.
Yeah.
And I was praying you were going to deviate away. So I was like, oh, thank you. I haven't got to ask that question. And you didn't. You doubled down. So I was just like, I'm going to have to ask this question.
Go ahead.
So
this is interesting for folks. Very interesting indeed to hear what he's going to ask and apologize for at the same time. Very interesting.
So you said
that
resting for you is this, right? And it's not sitting on a beach and it's bantering. And you said the word you used was creating, right? Dad, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
The book of Genesis.
Is that the one you're going to apologize for?
Yeah.
Okay.
The book of Genesis. What was God doing for the first 6 days?
Creating.
And what did he do on the 7th day?
He rested.
And what?
And
Whoa, 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 whoa. Yes and no will do. Yes and no will do. Thank you. So, if he rested on the 7th, what wasn't he doing on the 7th that he was doing the previous 6?
What was he not doing?
What was he not doing on the 7th day that he had been doing on the previous 6? Let me help you. I'll give you a clue. It starts with a k, Dad. A k word. And then after the k might come a r.
Yeah.
And then after the r might come a eh. And then after the eh might come a ah. You finish it.
What was he not doing on the 7th that he was doing
on the first 6, Dad? Wait. What was he? Making eggs? No, not making eggs.
Yeah. He was working.
He was what, sorry?
He was working on the other 6 that he was not doing on the 7th.
I would put to you, and the reason I say this is because I find it in myself. Sometimes rest feels alien to me. Because the hardest thing for me to do when I'm resting is switch my mind off because I'm creative.
Yes.
So Dad, I'll be sitting. You know, the couple of times I've been on holiday and loved it. I was in Grenada and I'd FaceTime you and you'd be like, you're having too much fun over there, boy. Because Dad, I could lay on a beach and I could go do something stupid for a second and then I could take myself away for a second. And for me, I feel like because how you rest feels so alien to what most people connect to,
indeed,
you never feel comfortable enough to be like, this is what I need. Does that make sense? Which means then you have to find these really small pockets of time that work, I guess, in a way. But it's almost like, imagine your phone. Okay, on my iPhone, Dad, anything under 20% turns it into a red battery.
Okay.
But sometimes I feel like I'm tricking my emotional mental brain by going, well, if we're on 22%, then we're not on red. And then all you need is a lack in that 2%, and guess where you are, Dad? In the red. And then this is what I feel like you and I do. We'll then go charge for 5 minutes.
Right.
And that 5 minutes doesn't fill the battery, but guess where it does take you? Out of the red.
Right.
So when you're looking at it and when other people are looking at it, oh, it's all good because there's still enough on the battery. But we always know we are 1 or 2 things away from the red.
I think with me, though, I mean, I don't go charge the battery in 5 minutes. I have a charger that I keep it plugged in permanently.
But then that kills the battery.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Well, my battery is still alive.
No, it's not, because your phone at times doesn't even ring through when people ring it.
That's what you think.
No, it's what I know. Dad, 2 days ago, I phoned you and then you said to me, it didn't come through. And then I went, Dad, look at this. And then did your phone not start ringing 10 minutes later? And then you said to me, are you phoning me? No, I'm asking.
Yes, I remember that incident.
So, and just on a technological level, most phone manufacturers will tell you, don't keep your phone charged in all the time because that will then wear away the battery. So what I'm trying to say, where your concern is, and the reason why I alluded to the, what's the word I'm looking for? The 5 minute charge-ins is because I think that's where your sleep patterns come in. And why I can sit and from perspective and perception turn and go, okay, I can understand why he thinks that. Okay, I can see what that may actually be. Because obviously we had that conversation where I said perception tells me how you see it, which is present tense.
Right.
Perspective tells me how you saw it, which is past tense. So understanding how you think in terms of rest is quite important and fascinating to me. So as you were saying, you keep the charger in all the time. So in a metaphorical sense, what are you kind of alluding to in terms of that?
No, I'm just saying that I circumvent the potential of it going into the red. I mean, by always creating the energy it needs to stay optimum.
Okay, but you realise I wasn't talking about a phone. I was using a phone to talk about you.
Yes,
So-
I know that. So
then, what do you then do?
So what I'm saying is that, I mean, I do certain things that keeps me charged up
Okay.
and optimum.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that's why whatever time of the day and night you talk to me, I'm always ready to deal with any situation that presents itself.
I can't talk to you any time of the day or the night.
You do?
No, I don't.
Of course you do.
Dad, I don't.
You do.
Dad, you've been here for 3 weeks,
Mm.
back home. I haven't regulated your sleeping pattern. I don't know when you're sleeping or
No.
not sleeping. I'm being serious.
No, I didn't say you regulate it. I'm saying that whenever time you can call, you call day or night. I'm optimum. I'm there, ready.
I believe you believe that.
You're right.
Cool.
So that's why the battery is always charged.
I believe you believe that. Dad, I have a very on this very grey day.
Right.
I had a really interesting interaction actually on, I believe it may have been Monday, and I went into my local Starbucks, grab a coffee to get in and get out, and I saw someone in there that I didn't want to talk to, so I was kind of trying to hide. And then, as I was trying to kind of turn my head away from where I thought that person was, I saw this older gentleman who was sat by himself, and he was just kind of daydreaming. Now, obviously, because I teach as well, I'm used to people daydreaming.
Yeah.
But this was so deep, and the look on his face was of such like hopelessness. And I kind of tried to put it out of my head and ignore it, but for whatever reasons, like, I was just drawn to look back at him to the point where I took a picture of him because I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Yeah.
If despair was a picture,
Yeah.
or it was defined by a picture, despair, or I'd even say maybe even hopelessness, he was the embodiment of that thing. And there was a part of me that where I kind of wanted to be like, I wanted to kind of go up to him and give him a hug. And then there was another part of me that was just like, man, I got my own stuff going on. Like, I need to just do what I'm doing. And then there was another part of me that was just like, I wish I was able to not see these things sometimes. Not actually, no. Do you know what? Let me. I wish I was able to see these things a lot of the time, because I'm always left within my day, like, it's 3 or 4 days later and I'm still thinking about this gentleman.
Right.
2, I've got my own things I'm trying to get on with, and none of them involve me going and inserting myself in a person's life or world that they have stuff going on to that level. I don't know anything about it in that way, other than obviously being a Christian believing person and wanting everybody to live their life in a certain overcoming and whatever else. But at the same time, I also understand that because I am that person, I'm also tasked in those moments to do what's supposed to be done and to provide direction and hope. And sometimes that's just in a very small interaction, like saying hello or giving a person a hug, or just, allowing the Holy Spirit to speak to you. But the question I guess I wanted to ask was,
Right.
Do you think the nation is depressed?
Before I go to that, let me just say something about that man who you saw and what is the conflict that's going on in your mind.
I hope you get this really right, because if you don't, honestly, I am going to fire that back to you so quickly that it'll be like a tennis ball on a wall.
Have you ever dreamed and don't remember what you dreamed?
Yes.
Okay. And then you dream again and you remember everything about the dream. See, within the spirit world, when most time you dream and you don't remember, it's because it's not overly relevant.
Got you.
When you dream and it stays with you, there are relevance to it. It needs to be dealt with.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like that man, if there was no relevance to you seeing him and observing
I would have never felt that.
Precisely. You would not be dogging you for days.
Yeah.
You see. So, in principle, you missed an opportunity, isn't it? Because of other influences.
No. Let me tell you what it was. I said no. Yeah,
Right,
no, because you're being really nice and like you're going, Sean. No, Dad, let me explain something.
It's my nature.
I know. But I've seen what your job has done to you. Not done to you, that's the wrong word to use. Dad, I know what it is to be sleeping and to get out of my bed for a person to get into my bed that I don't know. You are one of the most thoughtful, loving fathers that I think a person could have. You're annoying. No, don't get it like that because you get on my nerves. Like, no. Like this morning, William didn't do this today, guys. So like, he has these dispensations of greatness, and he has these other dispensations of just human nature, which would tell me that in moments where you have facilitated and been that bridge to a person, that's not you sitting there and going, I'm going to bring X into my space because of, that's you sitting there going, okay, God, this makes no sense to me, but I know that you require me to do something in this moment for that person. And obviously, a bit like how you spoke last week, I learned stuff about you on the basis of what was modeled to you from my grandparents and from my grandma, right? And so even when you used the word achieving and redefined what achieving was to me, it was just like, no, Sean, that's how we break trauma of you won't leave, you won't have to go, you won't be separated. I am now the next generation from what you have done meticulously and brilliantly well for decades. And there's parts of me where I'm like, the equivalent of of how you've been in your work to what I would have needed, not what I would have needed to done, but what would have been like parallel would have been, sir, I see you're going through some stuff. Come, you're going to come to my house and I'm going to look after you and da-da-da-da. Now, it didn't need to be any of that, Dad.
No.
It could have just been, I could have even written on a piece of receipt roll, just put, Jesus loves you, or everything's going to be okay. Or just gone and smiled or hugged him.
Yeah.
But the connection to what I understand, I guess, ministry to be, and also intervention, that there's probably a space where I make it a lot bigger than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Based on what was modeled in front of me.
Right.
Now, not in a negative way, because no one said to go and do all of those things that I saw. Does that make sense? But in terms of my own head, okay, that's the connection to what I see it in. So
not your head, your spirit.
In my spirit. So then the thing that I think I agree with you on, definitely a missed opportunity, 100%, because it would have taken a very quick interaction, and I didn't even need to really say, I didn't need to conjure up anything within myself to say. But yet at the same time, it's like, nah.
Yeah. So once now that you have accepted that's a missed opportunity, then we could go to the question that you were asking.
So then answer it.
Yes.
You don't even remember it.
Yeah. No.
Exactly. You see, you were so excited about trying to tell me about the missed opportunity that you actually forgot the basis of what you were meant to be talking about. Do you feel better now?
No,
stop. Do you feel better?
I think you've forgotten it yourself.
No, I can tell you right now. Do you think the nation's still depressed?
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
So do you feel better that you got to say what you needed to say?
No, I'm just happy that I've taught you something.
Okay, cool. Do you want to answer the question?
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, very much.
That's it?
Yeah, the nation is depressed.
Thank you, everybody, for Yo Pops this week. It's been amazing. We will see. Do you want to expand? Okay, cool.
I think a lot of people have been sold on information that they either see now as false or misconstrued as to what they think is going to be. And they find themselves in a situation that there's nothing they can do about it. And as a result, they are just left wondering, where do we go, north, east, west, or south? Because in any direction they look, they are seeing uncomfortable situation. You look north, you got war. You look east, you got war. You look south, you got famine and pestilence. You look, in the other west, and you have flood and all kind of stuff.
I cannot believe what's happening in Spain.
Absolutely the point.
And what got me about Spain, Fraser lived in Valencia for years, Dad.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
He, don't forget, they've only just come home, I think, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said it the other day, I actually thought you were I thought you'd been watching Al Jazeera again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being serious. Not to say that Al Jazeera is not reputable and stuff, but like sometimes I go to my parents' house and there are so many news channels on. You got the Russian one, you got Al Jazeera, and then you got these guys over here, you got Bloomberg. So no, honestly, I thought you'd been watching Al Jazeera. So I was just like, what is he talking about? And then I went to listen to Tom Bradby on ITV News because I trust Brother Tom.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw them floods, I said, maybe my dad weren't lying,
Maybe.
Well, I mean,
this is absolutely Dad, now taking the biscuit.
You do like to embellish.
No, I don't.
You do.
I don't. You think so?
No, you do. You like to add your
little
sprinklings of.
Since you can't believe that it is happening as I said it would, because it sounds so wonderful, fantastic.
Floods sound wonderful and fantastic.
No, what I'm saying, yeah. But anyhow, so when people look across the globe and around their world, that's all they can see, and those things drain hope
and life.
You know what I mean, from people. And when you find yourself and you have no foundation, you haven't got the kind of foundation that is stable. The Bible refers to it as the rock. When you don't have that, when your house and your life and your plan is built on sand, the ground.
Okay, so give me an example. What's sand? Metaphorically, and
for example, I mean, people would, like those people say in Spain right now. You see, they've spent their life building certain securities, but now those securities, within a flash, is gone. You know what I'm saying to you? So if they don't now have their faith and trust that they can, one, recover from it, rebuild, then the thing they're gonna set in is depression, stress, anxiety. Because a lot of these people, some of them are past a certain age, they don't feel energized, they don't feel they got the courage, the strength, the will to rebuild.
That was the word that when I looked at that gentleman, that was what I felt. It was just like, no energy. Dad.
Absolutely.
And I'll be honest with you, from just looking at him, I have to be at least a third of his age, right? In terms of, or even under half. And there are moments when I'm like, I don't know if I have the energy for this. Do you understand what I'm saying, Dad?
Of course.
Like, and I spoke to you this week about it, where I was just like, really kind of spending time and meditating on discipline and consistency. And for me, in the morning, that would be waking up, praying, getting into the gym. Okay, cool. Now execute my day.
Yeah.
Because I feel and have felt like, without putting those foundation blocks in place, that there's so much going on in my day that's kind of coming out, Dad, if that makes sense. Yeah. It's almost like having a Federal Reserve within yourself. Yeah. And so the question I guess I would ask is, how does one in that space, or how does a person in that season of their life mine energy when they feel like they have none?
Okay. There are two things. There are two ways you can deal with that. Either you try to deal with it physically, in the physical realms around you, or you deal with it spiritually. Now, if you have not lay the foundation and somebody hadn't come and tell you you can lay the foundation, then it's going to be very, very hard. And that's why a lot of people who have come to know Jesus as their Lord and Savior does so out of traumatic situation like that. Because where they had no foundation, somebody come along like yourself, give them a foundation to stand on and tell them, okay, here you are. From here, you can build yourself up again. From knowing Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you can build yourself up again. So immediately they have a foundation, they have a hope. If they don't have that, then they're going to need somebody who is going to believe in them. You see, when somebody believes in you, it is something that is unprecedented. Just to have somebody believing in you. And that is why, it's not the conclusion of his situation in the physical, but I am going to point out something that I think is critical. That man, it would take a woman to see him and perhaps look beyond his immediate demeanor and see in him his true person and say, you know what, I'm going to help you. I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to believe in you. And that is one of the ways in which you can help somebody, by letting them know they are not the failure they think they are. But you can inject into them the courage to stand and to let them know that I will be standing with you. And I've seen a lot of men, let's use them for example, who felt broken, busted, and disgusted.
Where did you come up with that? Broken, busted, and disgusted. What have you been watching?
Yeah, got nothing to do. That's reality.
You didn't come up with that on your own. What do you mean? Where did you?
Am I not sitting here by myself?
You did not come up with that on your own. I
Yeah.
don't know. That's why I'm asking. What have you been watching?
Trust me.
Keep going.
But anyhow,
broken,
so,
busted, and disgusted.
That's
Oh my gosh.
Because in reality, when a person look at him who perhaps know him when he was in the height of his world, you know what I mean? He was everything. He was not disgusted. He was not busted. And he was not broken. Is
that why you did that? Just so you could say that?
No, you're too much now.
You see what I have to deal with?
See? Yeah. But that is what's going to make the difference. And in a lot of people's lives, especially at this stage of the game, of the world game, most people do not have people who believes in them. They don't. And after a certain stage, phase, and age, I'm waxing lyrical with this thing, you know.
Chill out, man.
You see, after these things happen, people lose hope in people. They don't believe they're going to be able to achieve certain things because it's like the time has passed. Yeah, you know what I mean? And